get started. Of course, I have to go through the housekeeping items. Go ahead and type your email in the chat box to receive a training certificate by email. Use the chat box to ask any questions you have, and we will go through the questions at the end. Turn your video or camera on if available. And like I mentioned before, please mute yourself during the presentation. As much as we'd love to hear from all of you, it's hard to hear the speaker if you're not muted. Our agenda for today, we are going to talk about school meals administrative reminders, even if you're operating the summer food service program. We're also going to talk about summer food service program information, review SFSP meal pattern choices. We have some updates from Crunch, Nebraska Thursday, and Harvest of the Month. And then, of course, time at the end of the session for your questions, and hopefully we have all the answers. And I'm going to hand it over to Sean.
Hi there, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As Allie said, we're going to go through some school meals administrative reminders, even if you're operating the summer food service program now. These are items that still need to be completed. So the first one is you need to make sure that you have entered your food safety inspections that you received in school year 1920 into the CMP system. And you are reporting last year's food safety inspections for each site. And the due date for submission of this information is October 15th. So please get that completed. And as we move on to the next slide, you need to continue to determine students' free and reduced eligibility from direct certification and income eligibility applications. So you need to still be collecting those. Households still need to be completing them and submitting them to the office for determination of eligibility. Even though those children, those students are receiving free meals, it is important that you continue to have your household submit applications and still make those determinations. You must also inform your households of those students' eligibility status. And in the notification letter that you use to inform the household, you will want to include information that the meals are currently being provided free of charge through additional USDA funding. And this would apply to our School of Food authorities that are participating in the summer food service program. So households are submitting applications. We're making the determination of their eligibility. We're sending them a letter, but they're continuing to receive free meals because of that USDA funding. You still have to notify. So it's a little bit confusing for our households. So we want to make sure it's clear to them that it's important to determine their eligibility. You're notifying them, but because of how we're operating right now with waiver 56 and allowing schools to participate in the summer food service program and provide meals free of charge, meals are being provided free. A template letter soon will be posted on the Nutrition Services website. So the letter that we typically have posted is still available, the one that notifies households of their eligibility status, the template provided by our department, but there will be another template letter for your use that has the information about meals being provided free through the summer food service program. So next slide. And I know many of you have emailed, you've called, you're still wondering, what are we doing about verification this year? And USDA has not issued any guidance in regard to verification for this school year, for school year 2021. So we are on hold. We continue to be on hold on what to instruct our SFAs to do with verification. So please be patient. We're being patient at the state agency. We're waiting for that guidance to come from USDA. We are also waiting on information about participation in the after-school care snack program. Since schools are, most schools are operating through the summer food service program. After-school care snack is not an option if you're serving breakfast and lunch through the summer food service program. So we're waiting for guidance from USDA on the after-school care snack program through the school meals program. And we're also waiting on guidance regarding the special milk program, if that's a program that your SFA operates. So those three areas, waiting for clarification and guidance on. Next slide. So now I want to switch directions and talk about the summer food service program, because so many of our sponsors are participating in that program. Most of our sponsors have utilized that program to provide free meals to students. And this is all because of COVID Child Nutrition Waiver number 56. That waiver allows schools and institutions to participate in the summer food service program in lieu of the school breakfast and lunch program. So that specific waiver that was released in mid-September allows our schools to operate a different program than they normally would be eligible to operate during the school year. And that is the summer food service program, which allows for free meals to be served and claimed at the higher rate of reimbursement for the summer food service program. With waiver 56 and participation in the summer food service program, meals are provided free of charge to students and claimed at the summer food service rates of reimbursement. If your school operated the school meals program at the beginning of the school year and you are retroactively beginning participation in the summer food service program, all student accounts must be credited for any amount that was previously charged. Schools and institutions, it's their decision to participate in the summer food service program. That is not a requirement. SFAs can continue with the school meals program, or if they choose to participate with the summer food service program, they must complete the access form on the Nutrition Services website. The access form tells us that the SFA wants to participate in the summer food service program, and certain rights have to be given to the sponsor or the SFA so that they have access to the application. Next slide. An email will be sent when the access has been granted to the summer food service application. The effective date for the summer food service program participation is anytime from the beginning of the school year through December 31st, which is dependent upon USDA funding. But that is the funds that have been allotted are through December 31st or until those funds run out. So participation can begin at any time. Submit the summer food service application package. And going back to the last bullet, I need to mention also waiver 57. Waiver 57 allows our SFAs to participate in the summer food service program without a completed or approved application. So if you have made the decision to start the summer food service program as of October 1st and have not submitted an application or been approved, waiver 57 allows you to do that and claim those meals under the summer food service program. So back to the third bullet on the screen, complete and submit the summer food service application package. A application guide has been sent to our sponsors that helps you through the process of completing the application package. Please refer to that as you complete your application if you have not already. The program year for the summer food service is from October 1st through September 30th. So we are working with a different program year than the school year that you are typically accustomed to. The program year for summer is October 1st through September 30th. On the next slide, so for example, program year 1920 for the summer food service program, meals claimed in August and September would be included in this program year 19 through 20. Meals claimed in October through December will be claimed under program year 2021. So that may require the submission of 2 summer food service application packages, one for program year 1920, and then the completion of another summer food service application package for meals claimed from October through December, and then that would be program year 2021. Later in October, when the application is made available for program year 2021, we will ask that you complete that application. We are holding off a bit because we have so many sponsors that are completing program year 1920 application package. We want to just hold off a little bit until those sponsors have the opportunity to get their application packages submitted before we release the 2021 application package. So that is why the delay in releasing the 2021. This has been a lot for all of you, I know. And the fact that you have to complete 2 application packages if you're claiming meals in August and September is unfortunate, but that's just how the program year runs for the summer program. So as we move on to the next slide, I want to talk about all the things that are required for you to do under the summer food service program. And the first thing is that you have to have staff trained in the summer food service program. And so there must be documentation of summer food service program training conducted for all staff involved in the summer food service program. This documentation needs to include the date of the training, what training was provided, and who attended the training. This is information that you are required to maintain with your summer food service program records. You do not submit it to our office unless requested. And for our new sponsors, it will be requested. And for our sponsors that will be completing an application for participation in the new program year, you may be reviewed again. So you need to, because every program year, you have to do this. And so as we go into program year 2021, staff will need to be retrained if they were previously trained when we operated under program year 1920. So examples of where you can find this training, I've included a screenshot of training available on the summer food service portion of the Nutrition Services website. You want to make sure staff understand the meal pattern requirements, the point of service meal counting. So those are important areas to be covered. Next slide. Another area that's required with the summer food service program is that a daily point of service count of reimbursable meals is required by feeding site for each meal served. A separate POS or point of service meal count is required to be completed at pickup points for remote learners. So for every location where meals are being provided and students are taking reimbursable meals, there needs to be a point of service meal count. Please maintain the paper POS counts with the SFA monthly records. So how things are currently operating for many of our schools is they are utilizing their computer software systems for their meal counting system. And that is perfectly acceptable to use your current POS system, your software system. But for remote learners who may be picking up their meals at a different time or a location that does not have the software POS system, you are maintaining a daily count. That daily count can come back and be entered in to the POS system, but we need that actual point of service meal count. Complete and maintain monthly consolidation of meal counts for each feeding site. This isn't anything different than what you have done during the school year, where we actually have a monthly meal count by feeding site. And on that monthly meal count, we have the days listed and the number of meals served. And then that adds up to the total count for the month. Claim meals by feeding site for each month. And so for the number of sites you have listed, there should be a claim for each of those sites that are participating in the summer food service program. Next slide. Maintain daily production records for all meals claimed for reimbursement. This is the child nutrition program, and reimbursement is provided for meals that meet meal pattern. And so daily production records need to demonstrate that. Records must demonstrate all meal pattern requirements have been met, which includes food components and portion sizes. So make sure your records are complete with that information. Retain supporting information to demonstrate meal pattern compliance. So examples would include CN labels. So if you're serving some sort of processed item, you need to know how that contributes to meeting meal pattern. So for example, maybe it's a corn dog or hush puppies. And that label needs to tell us what the serving size is and how it contributes to meeting meal pattern. Perhaps it's 2 meat alternate and 2 grain servings. In the absence of a CN label, then you should have a product specification sheet from the manufacturer providing that information. If you're preparing items from scratch, from recipes, then the recipe needs to be complete with meal pattern contribution. Next slide. Moving on to other requirements of the program, maintaining monthly records of the summer food service program expenses. This should be how you normally operate during the school year, where you're keeping records to track expenses. This would be the same for the summer food service program. So food service labor, food costs, non-food supplies, any of those expenses that are billed to the food service fund. If school staff are working in the summer food service program and their wages are paid from the Full Food Authority's summer food service program reimbursement, time certification documentation of staff time working in the summer food service program is required to be documented. So for example, if maybe you have some support staff that come down and assist with the point of service meal count, and their time that they come down and spend regarding the point of service meal count is billed to the food service account, then you need to have time certification of that time. The last area that I want to talk about that is required is civil rights compliance. As with the school meals program, so annual civil rights training for all staff involved in meal service needs to be conducted and documented. And you need to display the "And Justice for All" poster in a location visible to your students. If students are eating in the classroom, it does not have to be posted in the individual classroom. It can be posted in the hallway where students can see it, or the entrance to the school, just in a location where it is visible to your students. So I am going to turn the presentation over to Donna, who will be talking more about food service considerations.
And actually, before Donna speaks, I have a quick polling question for everyone. So we'll take just a moment if you would all answer the polling question. We just have one question today that pertains to Donna's section, so we were a little curious. With those of you on here, the question is, which meal pattern are you currently using, the NSLP or the summer food service? So I'll give you guys a few moments to answer that. We're about a quarter of the way. A few more need to come in yet. Okay. I will share the results with everyone. It looks like almost half and half. It looks like 47% that answered the question on the call today are using the National School Lunch Meal Pattern, and 54% are using the Summer Food Service Program. Great. Okay, Donna, take it over.
Okay, that's what I was waiting for. Thank you, Allie and Sean. And hello, everyone. Another Tuesday, a nice sunny Wednesday afternoon. Geez, I don't even know what day of the week it is. Maybe, Sean, you should be doing my section. So we're going to talk a little bit today, again, about the meal pattern options in the Summer Food Service Program. We discussed this last week, but we're going to go over it again, and actually I'm going to ask someone who has been experiencing the change in the meal pattern options I'm going to ask Sue Anderson to answer a couple of questions for us when we go through this. So as you know, you do have options of the 2 different meal patterns in the summer food service program. You can either follow the summer food service program, SFSP, or you can continue to follow the meal pattern for school lunch and breakfast programs, the NSLP or SBP. And next slide, please. We'll talk a little bit about the summer meal pattern because most of you guys are mostly familiar with NSLP, so maybe not yet quite as familiar with the summer food service program. And this is a slide that gives you a link where this is located. This is the same site that Sean was talking about when we were talking. She was telling you about the training opportunities for staff. On this same page, you can see that it's highlighted the SFSP meal pattern chart. So if we could go to the next slide, please. And once you click on that link, this is what you'll see. And we talked more at length last week about what the requirements are. There are 4 components: milk, vegetables, and fruits are together as 1 component, grains, breads, and then meat alternate. So the 4 components. And for breakfast, 3 are required. They are all 3 required. The first 3, except meat alternate, that is optional. And then for lunch or supper, all 4 components are required. And you notice that there are no grade groups listed here on this format. So basically the same amounts are required for all students from pre-K through grade 12. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And last week we spent more time talking about the specific components and what's required and so on. So now we're going to talk about how this meal pattern may be utilized if you aren't already utilizing it. One of the ways in school that schools are using it is when the school changes from on-site to remote learning. And this seems to work pretty well. This meal pattern is more flexible. It has more flexibility than the school lunch pattern. So it may really be a good choice for a remote learning situation, depending on the school and what your needs are. The flexibility includes things like grain items that must be enriched or whole grain rich. Vegetable subgroups are not mandatory. The variety of milk is not required, and also you do not have to provide water with the summer food service program. So with the meals. So another flexibility that you have here that we've been asked about is the concern about meeting needs of older students. Some people say, I'm not going to go to the summer program because it doesn't provide enough food for the older students. So do they get enough food? And actually the amounts on the summer food service program chart are minimum amounts. And yes, you can offer more food or give more food to especially the older students. You can serve more than minimum amounts. And I actually was asked that earlier today. So there is some confusion about that, I think, or there are some questions about it. Next slide. Regardless of either a pattern that you use, and Sean mentioned this earlier, but we're going to mention it again, it's really important to remember that you must choose one meal pattern to use for all students. So let's say, for example, part of your school goes to remote learning, and you would like to change your meal pattern from NSLP to summer, then you have to use summer for all of your learners. And the thing is that the remote learners are getting a prepackaged meal that meets the meal pattern, but in-house, on-site, for those students who are on-site, you can implement offer versus serve. So that's kind of a flexibility too that's kind of nice. And at this point, I would like to have Sue Anderson from Twin River talk a little bit. Well, maybe I said I'd ask her questions, so maybe I should be more specific than that. But it was not too long ago, was it a couple of weeks ago, I believe, that Twin River, the 7th through 12th graders were all quarantined and had to stay at home and be remote learners. So she decided to go to the summer pattern from the school lunch pattern because it would be easier to provide the meals for the remote learners. And Sue, why did you find that that it worked better for you that way? And don't forget to unmute yourself. I do it all the time.
Okay, now?
Yeah, there you go. You're on.
Okay, I thought I was.
Looking good.
The biggest thing I think is the fruit and vegetable. A lot of our kids, especially the vegetable, in high school, they do not want it. You almost have to force them to take it, even when we have the variety of the fresh or canned. So to give them a full cup of fruit and a full cup of vegetable would just be a very big waste for us. And the containers. When we went to this, all of a sudden, like from a Friday, he calls and Monday we had to do it. I did not have containers for lids for a full cup, which I suppose we could have get them 2 small ones, but it to me is just the waste. And it's going pretty good. We only have about 41 meals to 20 some. Today I think we had, I didn't total it yet today. So a lot of them are there isn't that many taking advantage of this remote learning meal pickup, which I'm surprised. But
So how did it go for the, let's see, that would be like kindergarten through 6th graders that ate at the school, and you offer versus serve was fine with this program too?
yes, we did. And I did do the offer versus serve for them. And then the other ones just have the full package meal, which I'm glad I could, because otherwise, I'm glad we can do a choice of 1 for one and 1 for the other. And it's working good. The biggest thing for me, I don't know, I like the production records for this national school, the lunch program better. They're a different form. And I don't know why. I just like those to fill out better than the other ones.
Well, maybe you're more used to it too. That's really
Because I'm used to it. Yes.
Production records and how you can use either one. And if you want to stay with those, that's great.
Oh, you can use the same one for the summer?
Yeah. Right, guys? I'm saying that correctly, right?
I can use the one I've been using for the regular National Food Lunch Program instead of the summer production
That
form?
is correct. Yes, you
Oh.
can. Use the production record you're most familiar with and feel most comfortable with.
Okay, because I did switch over to the summer one when we did the remote, learning back in March, April, May. I did switch over, but I don't know why. I just don't like it. And then now I have to do 2 production records because the remote learners and the ones, the elementary, so it's 2 separate ones where I'm hoping by Monday that we go back to everybody being in school. So it would make it so much easier. But I think when we do, I think I'll go back to the National Lunch Program. I don't
Certainly.
know why.
Because you're more familiar with it. Donna
Yeah.
hit it right on the head. Use the record you're more familiar with and feel more comfortable with.
Okay, well, I didn't know I could, so that's good. And I know I can switch back if we go back to because to me, the subgroups is a good thing, but I usually have no problem getting in all the subgroups because of the salad bar. And now we have a limited salad bar, and we have to serve everything ourselves. We just have like the lettuce and we'll set out maybe 3 or 4 different vegetables a day and rotate the vegetables. Because it's a lot to serve. We have to hand them their napkin, their fork. Well, everybody knows that. They can't touch anything. So it's really a lot to serve. You're kind of running around ragged.
Hey, I should come help you then because I could stand to lose some weight.
Well, fortunately, my daughter's wedding was Saturday, so I was really trying walking every day. So I got some off. So I'll see if I can keep it off.
Well, that's good. And that's also helps with mood too. I know during this stressful time, you guys are amazing. All of you are amazing for what you're doing.
Yes, a good walk, even if you're stressed after work and you're dead tired, go for that hour walk. It does wonders.
There we go. Does anyone else, I just wanted to ask, I know some other schools have had a similar situation arise where maybe you have gone from on-site to partial remote or full remote and have been offering meals. Does anyone else have anything else to say about this that you can offer? Or any questions or?
Can't
Okay.
you always with this, like you could have your remote kids getting, can you have your remote students getting a pre-planned meal because they're taking it home, and then your kids that are on site, they're under the summer food service program meal pattern, but you could exceed the requirements if you wanted to? Or do the meals have to be exactly the same? What I meant was if you wanted to still, you know, offer more fruit and vegetable choices, kind of like somewhat stay with the National School Lunch Meal pattern, but you're saying you're under the summer food service pattern because you said you could exceed, and isn't that exceeding it?
Okay.
Go
Yes.
ahead, Donna.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was just going to say somebody else answer this one.
Okay. Edith, you bring up such great points. You have to meet the minimum portion sizes under the summer food service program. So the minimum portion size, but you can serve more. There are no nutrient standards associated with the summer food service program as far as limits on sodium, calories. So you can serve more.
But is there a but though? I mean, because your remote kids are not going to get as much, is it still okay to do? You know, you're meeting all the requirements for the summer food service program, but you're giving a little bit more for those on-site because you have the ability to do it. Is that okay to do?
Are you offering it as options that they can choose from on the
Right,
on-site?
and they're not required, but options.
They're options. So you're just providing additional choices that a child can choose.
Okay,
So,
good.
Yeah, as long as you're operating all the same program, that's the main thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great, good conversation. Anybody else have a question? Quick question here? Or a long one, doesn't matter. Okay, well, let's go on to the next slide, please, Allie. And one of the things we have to keep in mind is that when you do change, or if you do change your meal pattern, you do need to change that in your site application. So this happens to show the line that you would change it in on the site application under lunch is line 54. And of course, you can choose NSLP food-based, you can choose SFSP, but just make sure that that is correctly documented during the period of time that you offer that particular meal pattern option. Okay, next slide, please.
I know, I'm the only word I would take that. I wouldn't call it out.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about the required production records because we just had a good conversation. This was great to talk about the fact that you can use either version of the production records. Again, I think it's really important too. You guys are going through enough changes. You have enough stuff going on. Use the one that you're most comfortable with, as Sean said. Your daily breakfast and lunch production records are required for both on-site and take-home meals, and Sue talked about that a little bit. And the separate production records for the take-home meals is what we expect to see. And then on those take-home meal production records, we want them labeled with the date and day each meal is intended to be consumed. So that helps us when we're going through and reviewing documentation to know that, okay, you provided this meal for Tuesday, this meal for Wednesday. a lot, and there's so many different ways schools are doing this remote learning that it's really helpful it makes it more specific and helps us out a lot with determining what's happening and what's going on. So going on to the next slide and looking a little bit more closely at the required production records. Now, I know, I'm new to summer. This is the first year that I started working with the summer food service program. And I was not familiar with the documentation and the forms that were required. So I'm finding that some schools are having some difficulty, or maybe they're not, just because of the unfamiliarity, are not filling things out completely. So it's really a good point to make, that it's important to include portion sizes on these production records, just as you do on the school lunch production records. Because I think some schools were filling a bag full of items and they listed their items in the left column, as you see here on this example. This is an example that Katie provided for all schools at the beginning of the remote learning in March. And then on the right side, I just see one of each in the bag, but it doesn't really tell me the portion size. So that's super important to remember, to put the portion size on there, because that helps us to determine if you are meeting meal pattern. And in addition to that, on the next slide, we also find that food item brand names are not listed. And this is a good example in the second column of this picture. You see that the turkey is Land O'Lakes, the American cheese is Kraft. We have commodity peach cups and baby carrots. And so again, that's an important thing to remember too, is to fill in that column completely, just as we expect you to do for the NSLP program. And also the total amount prepared. It's a good idea to be as specific there as possible, and then complete the amount leftover column if indeed you do have leftovers. And then next slide shows another topic that was talked about earlier, the required documentation. And Sean made a very good point about talking about the CN label or product formulation statement for commercially prepared combination foods. It's just like with school lunch. You have a corn dog, we don't know exactly how it credits. There are all different kinds and varieties of corn dogs out there. So you folks are familiar with the CN label. And then on the right is a part of a product formulation statement. The bottom part's missing where it's signed by an official. But this also is something that can be obtained through the company, or maybe through your distributor, if they can help you out with that. So again, and I didn't include recipes here, but Sean mentioned recipes also, which are important. All this documentation is something that you're used to doing through school lunch. So you have to just continue with it through the summer program, because it, again, documents that you are meeting meal pattern, and we don't want anyone to lose money from not meeting meal pattern, that's for sure. Okay, so let's switch over. There are about 2 or 3 slides here with some food service considerations. And it's no big secret that we do, yes, recycle a few slides, but this one you've probably seen before. And the question is, do you have to provide meals for remote learners? No, you do not. There is one school I know of that is currently not providing meals for remote learners. But if you offer it to one student, remember, you have to offer it to all students. And do you have to provide a meal for every single student? No. There would be a heck of a lot of waste there. As Sue says, she is kind of surprised at the low numbers of students who are signing up for the remote learner meals, because you want people who want the meals to get them. You want the students who want the meals to get them. And the other students have the option of getting them or not getting them. It's up to them. So a signing up for the meals is part of the process, so that you don't waste money with preparing too many meals. And at the same time, again, if you offer one student, then you have to offer it to all. So next slide shows, again, this is something we talked about, I think, at the last meeting a couple weeks ago. Good grief, doesn't time fly? What information does the school need to proceed? And communication, that's the first word here, and it's so key in everything that we do in our lives, let's face it. But communicating meal availability to households, how are you going to do that? Usually through the usual channels. And then figuring out how to distribute the meals. Most of the schools, I believe, are utilizing a meal pickup and having people come to the school to pick them up. Tracking the meals, and Sean talked about this really nicely too, about using your POS system. You can use the mark-off sheets or the daily meal count sheets from the summer food service program. You can still use a roster if you want, but however you do it, just make sure it's clear and easy to understand and accurate. And then document on the production records, you know, the information that we just talked about. So next slide. Last one for me, I believe. Food service considerations. Can someone other than a student or student's parent pick up meals for that student? And the parent meal pickup waiver was extended and does allow for a parent/guardian to sign a consent form for someone else to pick up meals for students, because sometimes that's absolutely necessary. The thing is, again, documentation, keeping the form on file. This helps to maintain program integrity, to determine that meals are given to authorized individuals only, and that duplicate meals are not provided, all things that are very important when we're talking about maintaining integrity of the school meals program. So the next slide, I believe, is when I turn it over to Beth, and I hate to take her away from the chat box because she's been doing a really great job answering questions, but here you go, Beth.
Thanks, Donna. Okay, we're going to talk about the food safety inspections report first. And if you don't know where that is, it is below the verification report on your application page, where it says sponsor, manager, then application packet, verification, and then it's the food safety inspections. And you just enter the numbers in there for each site. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay, I only have one slide today. We just want to reiterate that launchnebraska.com is out there, and it has great tools for you. You need to be using those, especially as people transfer back and forth between the different risk levels. And it's essential that everyone knows what direct health measure your county is in, so you're not saying to everybody you're in green and you are actually in an orange and need to be taking more precautions. Next slide, please. Okay, so the I get to talk about food, or not food, but farm to school today also. And our next Serving Up Great School Meals Zoom is going to be on October the 21st at 2 p.m. Central Time. And we will be doing a crunch, and we'll talk about that more later, and you can sign up for that. We don't want to discourage you about doing your own though too. So all your programs of our previous Serving Up Great School Meals are recorded and available. We might be behind a couple days because it does take a while for the closed captioning to happen. Next slide, please. Okay, the crunch. The crunch with us on the next SFSGM, October 21st at 2 p.m. Provide your own local and crunchable fruit or veggie. Find connections to local products and producers on our website. We'll register our Crunch Off group based on the number that participated on 10/21/20. Register for your own school's crunch off at the link below if you are participating on site or remote with your school district. And I'm hoping that Miss Donna will put in that link into the text box for me. And it'll be lots of fun. Our Nebraska crunch off is actually October the 26th. And we're hoping that everybody will do a crunch off in October so that we can maintain our regional Mountain Plains region crunch off championship. We want to be the champions of something. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Nebraska Thursdays. And you register for the Nebraska Thursdays in the Farm to School month. You receive a 6-inch by 24-inch colorful vinyl Nebraska Thursday banner. It's order new free promo items on the website, explore new local and seasonal food recipes in the Nebraska Thursday portal by Allie. And enter into the Tower Garden giveaway, and that's awesome product. And the posters are really cool. Let's see. You can also get Nebraska items such as sporting aprons, stickers, and serving up local foods. So it's a great site to go to. Next slide, please. Nebraska's Farm to School month is October, and it's official. The governor issued a proclamation declaring October as Farm to School month in Nebraska, recognizing the nutrition, academic, and economic opportunities local food and school partnerships provide for Nebraskans. In particular, this proclamation makes note of Nebraska's strong efforts to grow this program, including the school nutritional professionals, farmers, and farm workers that are recognized as heroes and celebrated for their leadership, ensuring Nebraska students are fed even in times of emergency. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so October is National Farm to School Month also. Nominate a Nebraska Farm to School community food champion. So someone that really champions your school meals program. The National Farm to School Month resources and toolkits are at the website below. Follow NDE Nutrition Services on Facebook and Twitter and share your posts. So Facebook is at NDE Nutrition. Twitter is at NDE_NUTRSVC. Or pound F2S month, pound Farm to School, pound Nebraska Thursdays, pound Mountain Plains Crunch, pound Harvest of the Month. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, time for questions and answers. Remember to celebrate the National School Lunch Week, October the 12th through the 16th, 2020.
Beth,
Yes,
I have a question.
you go right ahead.
What are you going to crunch on the 21st?
What am I?
Yes.
I'm going to try to find a very juicy apple from either Nebraska City or I'm not sure what else. I'm going to look, see what I can find that's
Okay.
available.
Just wondering, could really be a fun event. We just want everybody to join in and help us crunch and make lots of noise.
I think
Okay, let's move on to our chat box and start answering some of your questions. So I will open up the chat box. and go to the top and get the, maybe I should start from the top, bottom down. That might be easier. A question comes in from Terry, and she says, submitting the after-school snack numbers for September has to be submitted on the NSLP claim, correct? Terry, we're on hold for the after-school snack program, and I apologize that it has taken USDA so long to issue guidance on what to do with after-school snack. If you participated in the school meals program in August and you did not participate in the summer food service program, you can submit your after-school snack under the school meals program. But when you started participation in the summer food service program, that program is limited to 2 meals per day, breakfast and lunch, or lunch and after school snack. Right now we're on hold, but if you participated in the school meals program in August and claimed those meals under the school meals program, you can submit your after school snack under that program. If you participated in the school meals program in September, it's when you started participation in the summer program. USDA has this rule that you can't participate in 2 programs at the same time. So you can't participate in the school lunch program and the summer program at the same time. So that is where the confusion comes in with the after school snack and special milk program. I hope that wasn't even more confusing, that explanation, but that is why we are on hold, because so many of our schools have went to the summer food service program. What about after school snack? The next question, is it okay to deliver meals to remote learners? Yes, it's fine to deliver meals to remote learners if that is something your school district is choosing to do. There isn't an issue with that. You do need to keep an accurate point of service meal count for those delivered meals. And so it can't be a, well, we prepared this much. It has to be taken at the time that meal is delivered. Another question that came in from Jody is, the summer food service program claim is option correct? As I said earlier in the presentation, your school makes the decision if they will continue with the school meals program for the school year. So it's normal operations if you want to continue with the school meals program, but with waiver 56, USDA has allowed schools to participate in the summer food service program in lieu of the school meals program. So it's the school's decision which program to participate in. So
Sean?
Yes.
She has a question about 3 above that. I think that started her question. How should it look? How should it look on the claim part?
Okay, so let's look above that. Jody, how should it look on the claim part of the summer food service program claim? All meals under the summer food service program are claimed as free. If you are operating the school meals program, you are claiming meals by paid, free, and reduced. That is the difference between what the claim would look like. So I'm going to think, Jody, if you'd like to unmute and speak up and tell us if you have any more questions in regard to that. I certainly don't want to not answer your question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. I don't think I'm asking the right question, so I apologize. The gal in our office here who submits the claims, we've got the approved for the summer food program. We went back through according to your directions on August and September.
So you
When she went-
credited students' accounts.
We're working on that, correct. But when she is claiming, she had already claimed, sent in her claim report for August and September.
Mhm.
And part of the process said she needed to like zero those out. I'm probably not saying that correctly.
You're
But
saying
now
it
when she goes to reclaim that or to do October, should there be an option for the summer program? Or does
Well,
she,
Go ahead.
or
Finish
does
your-
she submit that as normally,
Okay.
as she normally does?
No.
Okay. You've asked so many good questions in there, and you've given us the scenario of what's happened. So your school made the decision to retroactively go back to the beginning of the school year. And you're in
Correct.
the process of crediting student accounts, which is required.
Yes.
And you have to, and claims were already submitted for August and September under the school meals program. So
Yes.
now claim revisions need to happen for August and September, where those meals are zeroed out because you've already been paid. And so then claims need to be submitted under the summer food service program for August, September, and moving forward.
Right. I guess, and she showed me where she submits it. There's no other place for her to submit it. I guess, is there going to be like a tab that's
Yeah.
saying it's under the summer food program?
Jody, what school are you from?
Adams Central.
Okay, just a second.
So yes, it's a separate program. Summer food service is a separate program requiring a separate application, approval of that application, and submission of a summer food service claim for reimbursement.
Okay. So maybe we're going to the wrong screen on that.
It's the school meals program is blue. It's the blue square, and the summer is the red square, and says summer food
Okay.
service program.
Okay. This is the problem with multiple people doing different jobs in our district with this. That's where we're at.
Beth, has the application been submitted?
Yeah, it's submitted and approved, so she may not have rights to do the claim. So she needs to talk to your authorized rep to give her rights.
Okay.
Do you want me to email her?
Well, I'm the authorized rep. So
Oh, well, you need to give her the rights. Do you know how to do that? I'll email you the information. How's that?
perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I apologize. Like I said, this
No, that's
is,
all right.
I usually just do a little part of this. So this is so new for me. But I will, yes, please email me.
Yeah,
and then
I'll
quit
send you
talking.
the directions.
Jody, it's new for everyone. This is something that's never happened before, where schools are able to participate in the summer food service program during the school year. But it is the only program where meals can be claimed free for reimbursement. So it's because I blame everything on COVID, and this is a good thing about something good about COVID, is that USDA is allowing schools to participate in this program and students to receive free meals, and then those meals are eligible for a higher rate of reimbursement.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. So let's keep going on with our questions. Julie asked, can you tell us exactly what training videos are required again? And I'm going to ask Allie to go to that slide. where we talk about training. And, you know, in my haste to prepare my section of the presentation today, I omitted one very important requirement from the slides. I had it on a slide and then I deleted the slide before for some reason. You have to conduct on-site reviews of your feeding site. So if you operated the program this summer, okay, you've done on-site reviews for your site, but you may not have done an on-site review for all of your sites that are now operating. So for those sites that did not operate, that are now operating, you do need to do an on-site review. And the form is available on the Nutrition Services Summer Food Service. It's under training, and it would be the next bullet that I cut off on the bottom of the slide, where there's the link to the on-site review. Now, I remind you that we are in program, we just ended program year 1920. We are now in program year 2021, and new on-site reviews need to be completed for feeding sites because we have started a new program year.
Child nutrition program.
So back to training. It would be under the Summer Food Service Program training. And then at the top of the screen, it has COVID-19 Summer Food Service Training Resources. And the presentation that was presented in September would be a good starting point for training. And then there is also, the slides are posted below. And then, as I mentioned, you would want to familiarize yourself with the meal pattern. So those would be training opportunities. There is no specific required training. The guidance just says staff need to be trained in program operations. The USDA manuals that are also posted on the website are another great resource, but we're operating a little differently than a normal summer food service program year or operation because we're operating in the school year. So I don't want anyone to get confused. I think watching the video or the webinar would be sufficient. Familiarizing yourself with today's presentation and what's required. And you could certainly list today's training as part of your training that you've received. I think anytime you watch any of our Serving Up Great School Meals, that's providing training. Now, those are all posted on the Nutrition Services website, and they're available for viewing by other staff. So if that's the direction you want to go, then you can have them view the Serving Up Great School Meals Zoom trainings that we've done. Probably the more recent, the better. As you all know, this has been an evolving situation where new guidance is being released, new waivers. So probably the more recent training would be what I would suggest. So back to the questions in the chat box. Let's see where we left off.
Jennifer?
What is the reimbursement rate for the summer food service program lunches? And you know, does someone know off the top of your head? I know it's like 57 cents difference between the school meals program and the summer food service program lunch reimbursement. Where you can find that information for everyone is under quick links on the Nutrition Services homepage. If you go to quick links and you click on that, you can find the reimbursement rates for the school meals program, for the summer food service program. So that's where I would direct you so that you always have access to that information. So under quick links on the Nutrition Services homepage. And if someone wants to look that up so we can provide that, that'd be great. So we can let you know what that reimbursement rate is today. Oh, look, thank you. The rate is $2.37.50 for breakfast. And I think it was $4.15 for lunch. So appreciated. Thank you for doing that.
So,
what else do we have in our chat box? Oh, Donna asked, could you please go over cleaning of tables or desks in classrooms that are hosting lunches? Beth?
Okay, so are you doing it or who's doing the cleaning of the classrooms? Isn't it? I mean, it's really up to the schools on who does that, whether it's the custodian, the teacher, the para. You're probably feeding other people. Not real sure what you're going on. Do you know who that is, Sean?
Oh, I've moved on now.
Sorry.
I can look and see who it came from. At the top, and I want to say Donna, maybe?
Oh, Donna. Okay, Donna, go ahead and unmute and tell us more about what you were asking. Okay, go on to the next one. Maybe she'll answer in the chat box.
Donna M. Okay, as we move on down the line here. You guys do a great job entering your email addresses into the chat box. Thank you very much for doing that. Okay, Joey, you may have gone over this already, but what about verification? Just really going to emphasize again that I wish I had an answer for you, but we are on hold in regard to verification. We have not received guidance from USDA regarding if verification is required for this school year 2021. As soon as we get some sort of guidance, we will release that information. I can only think that it's a very thought-provoking thing for USDA, and they are wanting to make sure that any guidance that they release covers everything that it needs to cover. So we are on hold for verification. So Sherry, is it the responsibility of the school district to enter the number of food safety reports for each site into NSLP? Yes. It is required for each sponsor to enter that information in. That is how we collect that information, is from that report that is completed in CMP by each sponsor. And then in turn, we have to report that information to USDA. So that is why you have to report it, we collect it, and we have to report it to USDA. And the deadline for doing that is October 15th. If that information is not completed, then your claims will be held until it is complete, until that information is completed. So that's what happens. If you don't do it, then we hold your claims until it is completed. And remember, you are reporting health inspections from last year, so that information has already been done. You have it available. And it's by feeding site. So do we need to keep food expenses separate from NSLP and the summer food service program? No, you're going to be reporting expenses by the month. So food expenses by the month. If you're operating the summer food service program, then those food expenses would be summer food service program related. Is that justice for all posters supposed to be green or the blue one? Well, the blue one was two revisions ago. And so the last version was green with Lady Liberty, and the newest version does not have Lady Liberty on it. And if you have the last version posted, you do need the new one, but is it mandatory that you get one posted as soon as possible? Well, let us know. We'll put one in the mail to you so that it can be, the right one can be displayed. But Lady Liberty has been updated with, I don't know what's on that. Is it, we have a little picture on one of the slides. So if, Allie, if you want to go back, we can take a look at what the most current one looks like. It was on right above your polling question. There it is. It looks like it has a flag and building. But that is the most current one. Okay. Oh, green with a photo of the federal building on it. Thank you, Beth. You identified the building. Where do we find the civil rights training? There is a link to civil rights information under forms and resources. Is that correct, Marianne? You'll have to unmute.
That new information from the Institute of Child Nutrition, all of that's been posted on our website now.
Thank you. I forgot there's been updated training from the Institute of Child Nutrition, 1-hour training on civil rights, and it looks very good. Great. Let's see, our district person who does our claim was told by an NDE specialist to claim after school snack under NSLP, even though we are running the summer food service program breakfast and lunch. I am assuming she gave him the wrong information about claiming the after school care snack program. We are on hold with the after school snack program. As I mentioned earlier, we don't have an answer back from USDA about if sponsors can participate both in the summer food service program and the school meals program at the same time. Is the civil rights training an annual requirement for all employees or only once for each employee? It's an annual requirement for all employees working in the school food service. So it's an annual requirement that has to be documented with the date of the training, who attended the training, and what training was provided. And that documentation needs to be maintained on site. Our food safety inspection is held in the spring, so didn't occur last year. We have had it this fall due to this. What do I input on the inspection report? You would, what your options are on the food safety inspection report, that is completed for each site is 0, 1, or 2. So if you had no health inspections in school year 1920, you would report 0. You said that you had one conducted this fall. We had it this fall. So in school year 2021, you would report that information next year for the health inspections for 2021. You are at no fault if you report 0, 1. It was an unfunded mandate that schools receive 2 health inspections. That legislation came through in 2006, so it's been a long time already, but it was an unfunded mandate. And with COVID, with turnover of inspectors, many schools may not have had a health inspection last year. You just need to report what actually happened. If you didn't have any, report 0. If you had 1, report 1. And you don't need to worry, you're just reporting actual information. Okay, I'm trying to look to see if there's anything else we have not. This is a good one. Won't our professional training standards annual training cover the summer food service program? The summer food service program requires that all staff be trained in summer food service program operations. So your professional training standards is pretty wide open for what you can select for training. But this program requires that staff involved in the summer food service program be trained in program operations of the program, summer program. So it's a little bit different. Specific training over the summer food service program. Does the school have an option to credit our students' accounts, or is it required? It is required. You cannot claim meals for reimbursement and charge students at the same time. So if you are claiming reimbursement under the summer food service program, you have to credit your student account. So if we did a site review in August or September, do we need to do another one after October 1st? You will be operating in a different program year, which will require that reviews be completed for feeding sites for the new program year. So we are serving all of our students sack lunches in their rooms. They now have 4 choices a day. Do I have to serve the same vegetable with the sub as I do the hot option for the day? We are doing the summer food service program. I think you do not, because you are just offering choices to your students. I'll let my coworkers chime in, but I do not think so.
I agree with you, Sean. Are they talking about, I mean, maybe they have a planned menu like the sub sandwich is a choice. Is that what they're saying? As far as the sub goes, and then we have specific, like a specific fruit vegetable that goes with that sub. I think it's okay, as long, again, as long as they're meeting those minimum daily fruit vegetable requirements.
Deb, I think that must have come from you.
Yep, it did.
Yep. Okay. Did you answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Because like sometimes if we do the subs ahead of time, and then we can put like the bagged carrots and the cup of fruit in there, and then we happen to have something, a hot vegetable, rather than putting a hot vegetable in with the cold sub, we just use the little bagged carrots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Okay, what am I missing from the chat box? We see a lot of people are needing some "And Justice for All" posters. Our office associate only goes into the actual department, our department, once a week. So there may be a delay in your posters arriving, particularly when I see that quite a few people are requesting them. So, you know, if you have a poster up, you have a poster up. We just need to get you the most current poster, so please be patient with that, as we are still working remotely, and we are not in the state office building right now. As I said, our office assistant goes in once a week, and she has to make the best use of her time when she's in there. So we understand your request, and we will get to it as soon as we can. Okay. I don't know if I missed your answer to this, but can we change from the summer food service program to the school meals program, or vice versa if we change from on-site learners to remote? And this comes from Gail. And Donna, I know you covered this. I'll let you cover it again.
All righty. Yes, you can change from one program to another depending on your situation. As Sue Anderson, who I do believe I forgot to thank at the end of her contribution today. Really appreciate you speaking up, Sue. That Sue experienced a transition for the 7th to 12th graders to remote learning, and she changed to the summer food service program meal pattern at the whole school, of course, for that period of time that they were on remote learning. And now, if they do indeed hopefully get to go back into the school on Monday, she is planning to, if not Monday, I don't know, but to go back to the MSLP program. But again, you have to document that in your site application or applications. And you also need to make sure that you are offering the same meal pattern to all students.
Okay, thank you, Donna. As I look through the question and answers, I just see a lot of you wanting those civil rights posters, which is great. I'm glad we are discussing it so you can have the most current one up. Does the school meals and the summer food service program expenses and reimbursement need to be kept separate? I think we've talked about this, but maybe not this specific question. You will be tracking your summer food service expenses, and just like you track your school meal expenses, and I think probably all of you do that by the month, that as I said, you can only operate one program at a time. So you would be doing that anyway. You'd be operating, you know, if you started in August and September under the school meals program, you've kept those expenses by the month. And now, let's say in October, you're operating the summer food service program, then those expenses would be under the summer food service program, but you're tracking them by the month. I'm still looking for.
Sean?
Yeah.
There's a question from Mark at 307.
Okay. And
asking, it says, just want to know if everyone is serving their meals out of a foam or a paper to go container.
So that would be, we don't know that. That would be, That's a question we don't know because we don't know how you're providing delivery of your meals. I know a lot of people are probably not using, well, thank you, Jennifer. We are serving our meals out of a to-go container. I think it would depend on how you are providing meals. If you're providing them in a classroom setting where you're taking them to the classroom, perhaps maybe you are using disposables. But if students are going through the meal service line in the kitchen or lunchroom, then perhaps you're not. So, Beth, do you have anything, because you are our person in the know of what's going on in regard to the different levels that counties are in regarding COVID?
And you said it right, Sean. It depends on where they are serving it at. If they're in the cafeteria, they can use their trays and their regular silverware because they're dishwashers with either the heat boost or the sanitizing portion of the dishwasher are all verified by the CDC and I believe the FDA that they will kill the COVID virus. So, but if you're doing it in the classroom, we're recommending either clamshells or some type of a container. It can be little aluminum pan. I've seen a lot of people using those and doing a great job with those items when they're doing like a taco salad or enchilada type thing, and then putting their vegetables and their rice with it. So it just depends on where you're at on the health, but Sean was correct.
Okay, we got a question from Stan, reimbursement question. If our 1920 summer food service program application is still pending, are we able to submit the August and September reimbursement? I don't think those months are active on my portal yet. You can't submit a claim for reimbursement without a submitted and approved application package. So when it says the 1920 summer food service application is still pending, then it is not submitted or approved. And so you would not be able to submit your August and September reimbursement. Now, I am going to remind everyone that there is a 60-day claim submission rule that claims have to be submitted within 60 days of the end of the month for which the claim is, what's the word I'm looking for? Mary Ann.
Being submitted.
Being submitted. Okay. So the August claim has to be submitted by October 30th? 30th. So we need to get applications submitted. Okay. So if you are a sponsor that is going to be claiming meals under the summer food service program for August, you need to get your application submitted. Okay. You can certainly reach out to us if you have any questions in regard to that, or if you're finding some difficulty in doing that. But there is a 60-day claim submission, and it's 60 calendar days of the end of the month. So, so as we would look at August, we're looking at September has 30 days, 30 days, and October has 30 days. So that's where that 60th day comes in as October 30th. So if there's an error on your application, or something that, if it's not in submitted status, then submitted to our office, then we are waiting for you to to submit it. I am not seeing anything maybe that I haven't talked about. Anybody else? I think we've hit almost all the questions. If I have not seen them all, please let us know. You can certainly unmute and talk. We'd appreciate that. If you have a question that hasn't been answered.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. We switched over to the summer food service program at Kimball Public Schools, but we're also still doing the after school program and the special milk program. I know you kind of talked about it, but I just wanted to clarify, do I go ahead and submit my claims for September for those two programs, or should I wait until you guys get clarification?
Please wait until we get clarification. And once again, I apologize, that it is taking so long to let our SFAs know about verification, about after school snacks, and about special milk. But we are on hold from USDA.
Right, I understand.
See that guidance.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Anything else before we end the meeting? I know you have all had a very long day and probably are anxious to finish up what you need to do and move on with the rest of your day. So we'll give it a few more seconds before we leave the meeting. Is there anything else you have questions about? I think you are all ready to go. So thank you very much, and please reach out to us with any questions you might have, and we will see you on the next Serving Up Great School Meals in 2 weeks.
Bye.